everyone, how are you all? I hope you all are hale and hearty, you all are fit and fine. My name is Tanya Sharma and I welcome you all to the PW Gulf in the Succeed Ultimate Recap batch for class 9th. Today we are starting the last chapter of economics, that is food security in India. It's a very brief and a very small chapter. Let's get started. And some of the children might be having this doubt that it is not coming in exams, but for a general perspective, it is very easy and a very knowledgeable chapter. Let's get started without wasting any time. Alright, when we talk about food security in India, first we need to understand what do we need by food insecure, or why do we need to be food secure. Now, there's so many, as we have done the chapter of poverty as a challenge, we have come across a lot of the scenarios whereby there's a situation whereby people cannot have, specifically in a day a proper meal. So, it is the duty of the government to provide particular food to the citizens of their country. So, food security means availability, that the food should be available. Okay, the food should be available to the people. Next, accessible. It's not that the food is available, but the people have to go, to at least, so many kilometers to access their food. It should be, the food should be within their range and should be accessible. And third is, the first is availability, second is accessibility, and the third is affordability. It's not like that the food is very expensive and the people cannot afford it. So basically, the food should be available, the food should be accessible, and it should be affordable. That then only it is a means that thereby the food is available to people at all the time. So this is how government ensures that. Now, what do we mean by food security? Why does a government wants to make sure that the people are always food secure in their particular country, whether it's like happy days or whether it's some bad days whereby some, for example, some natural calamity or for example, COVID-19 came. So it's like the government was able to provide food to everyone because it was food secure. Right. So let's see. The poorest section of society remains food insecure all the time. When we talk about poor people, when we talk about poverty, there are so many people who are always food insecure. So to curb that situation, people above the poverty line might also feel food insecure. Now why? Always like it's the poor people who are food insecure. But when we talk about the upper strata, when we talk about the rich people, or we can say that the people who are above the poverty line, they can also be food insecure in certain situations. For example, during an earthquake, during a drought, flood or tsunami, etc. and during COVID-19 situations, right? So these situations might lead to food insecure, whereby people are not sure about their food in the upper strata of the society. So food insecure means in rural areas, the worst affected people are landless and small farmers, traditional artisans, okay, providers. Now hereby these people we can say are food insecure, right? We have providers of services like barbers, washermen, petty self-employed workers and destitute. Now these people are in rural areas, these are insecure people, food insecure. But when we talk about urban areas, now these people can be ill-paid occupation. So we can divide food insecure people into two types. One is food in rural areas and one is in the urban areas. So these are the people in both urban and rural areas. Next, we have a large proportion of pregnant and nursing mothers. Now, nursing mothers are mothers who are breastfeeding their child or children, and children under the age of 5 years constitute important. Now, proportion of pregnant women, nursing women, mother and children, basically under the age of 5, an important segment of food insecure population. So apart from rural and urban areas, we have this section society, okay, who are again food insecure people. Also, like if you remember in the chapter, we have done poverty as a challenge. We have seen poorest of the poor. So hereby these people are considered as important insecure proportion of food insecure people. Hunger. Now this basically food insecurity leads us to the very basic phenomena, that is hunger. Now hunger is a seasonal and chronic dimension. When we talk about hunger, so I am taking a lecture and meanwhile I am saying that I am feeling hungry, so it is not a big deal. Okay, it will not be considered as a big deal that the government have to take initiative that Tanya ma'am is hungry. That's a basic thing. That's chronic. But when we talk about seasonal dimension, whereby such seasons or some period of time there is no food available, so people are hungry and people from a longer period of time they have not eaten anything, right? So poor people suffer from chronic hunger and are food insecure all the time. Okay, so chronic hunger, now this example which I gave you, that is a very basic example. But when we talk about poor people, they are chronic hunger every time, all the time. Then seasonal hunger, if we talk about, is caused by seasonal nature of agriculture. Now this time, for example, agriculture was good. So again, for a certain period of time, they will not be having food. Okay, agricultural activities in rural areas and urban areas, seasonal hunger occurs because of casual type of work. So again, it is divided between urban and rural areas. The seasonal hunger exists when people are unable to get work for the whole year, and hereby certain period of time, it is basically, it is said that they are hungry. Okay, next, need for self-sufficiency in food grain. So government realized that if this thing persists on, people will not have food for certain time of the year. So this basically the government has to do something for the people, has to do something for the citizens of the country. So it is said that there should be need for self-sufficiency in food grain. So whereby the government should be self-sufficient, that government has government is self-sufficient in order to serve its people whom are food insecure. So our government, hereby we talk about Indian government. Okay, our government, here we talk about Indian government. So Indian government since independence, that is 1947, realized the need to attain self-sufficiency in food grains, otherwise situation will be worse. Okay, because India experienced acute shortage of food grain after partition of 1947. Okay, partition again is a political scenario which happened in India, and because of that a lot of people were they were hungry, and basically things were not only hungry but things were very bad in that situation. So government realized that government has to be food secure. How? By only because food grain should be available at all the period of time. So the need for self-sufficiency arises from to feed rising population, because population was rising. Second point, to fight against drought, floods and cyclone. For example, for someday earthquake or natural disaster came, so the government should be ready to serve its people with the basic thing, that is food. Then to reduce importance of food grain, to reduce import of food grain. So the food should not be imported, like we should not import food from outside, whereby the other countries, we should grow and we should be self-sufficient in our country, that is India. And third is to control price of food grain, and food grain prices are rising, so it should be controlled. So this step was taken by the government of India. So hereby the role of government in this chapter is very much important. Next point, food security system in India. Since the advent of Green Revolution in 1960s, the country has avoided famine. Basically now with the advent of Green Revolution, or Green Revolution means whereby the self-sufficiency of food grain is that much, whereby areas of Punjab, UP, Western UP and Haryana, Green Revolution came, which actually boost the we can say economy or boost the production into 3, and hereby they received a lot of in green waste, basically in agriculture, it was boosted, there was a boom. So even during now, because of that, since the advent of Green Revolution 1960, it came in 1960, the country has avoided famine. Because of this, famine was avoided. Even during adverse weather conditions, India has become self-sufficient in food grains during the last 30 years. Now, because of the Green Revolution, okay, this system was again made, in a very, the government realized that because of Green Revolution, a lot of areas, specifically Punjab, Haryana and Western UP, there was a boom in the agriculture. Because of this, again, this system was improved. Because of this, things were actually made into a right direction, and variety of crops grown over the country. Also, we have developed food security system. Now, how this food security system was done? So this is the first thing which is known as buffer stock. Now buffer stock is a stock. Now what do we mean by stock? We are keeping a stock of it. So buffer stock is we are keeping a buffer. The government is keeping a buffer stock, okay, specifically wheat and rice procured by the government through Food Corporation of India. Now FCI. Now see, agriculture is happening, but government is buying or government is purchasing from FCI, from the Food Corporation of India, majorly a lot of stock, which is known as a buffer stock. Okay, the FCI purchases wheat and rice for the government from the farmers or surplus. Now basically they're buying from where? They're buying from the farmers. Okay, they're buying from the farmers at a fixed rate. Okay, and this fixed rate will help the farmers. Okay, and this is also known as advance payment of the prices, advance payment of the crops. Okay, advance price they are announcing. Because of this, whereby they are keeping a lot of stock with them, and this stock is known as buffer stock. And this is done, the government is not going directly, government is going through a process that is called as Food Corporation of India. So it is a government organization only which is going to the farmers and giving them a price, which price is known as minimum support price, that is known as MSP. So MSP, now this is a procedure, I am clearing it once again. So government of India, okay, has one organization which is known as Food Corporation of India. This particular organization basically is resembling or is denoting the government of India. This organization is going towards the farmers and they are giving them MSP, which is minimum support price, which is actually giving them advancement of the payment to the farmers to grow crops whatever they want to do. And the price of the crop is fixed. So with that fixed price, the government actually buys a lot of crop, and this crop is stored in some of the granaries. Okay, and this stock is known as a buffer stock. So this is how food security system works. Then government, what does government do with a lot of buffer stock? Government will actually do a distribution system which is known as PDS, Public Distribution System. So PDS refers to a system through which food procured by FCI, that is Food Corporation of India, is distributed among the poor through the government regulated ration shops. Okay, through government regulated ration shops, and ration shops are only for those people who are actually from the poor strata, and actually they are at below the poverty line. And ration cards are also made so that they, with the ration cards they are eligible to buy all these things at either at free of cost, either at very low cost. For example, if 10 rupees kg, okay, this is an example, 10 rupees kg is wheat, okay. So from the ration shop, from the PDS system, you will get at 2 rupees. Okay, so this is how the government can actually maintain a buffer and actually can provide a distribution system to the people to their citizens who are not being able to afford. Now ration cards, there are 3 kinds of ration cards. Antodaya cards, okay, this is for the poorest of the poor. Now I told you who are the poorest of the poor, women and children. Okay, Antodaya cards. Below poverty line, these are the below poverty line. These are known as below poverty line cards. APL, who are above poverty line. Okay, simple ration cards for different people. Now, the important for food intervention programs. Now, why this particular thing which you have done in the previous chapter, that is poverty as a challenge. Now, these are important programs which were brought so that a lot of people will receive a lot of people actually gets food, and a lot of people will actually raise their standard of living and they are not going hungry to bed. Okay, so let us see, which we have done already. So this is in the wake of high incidence of poverty levels in mid 70s, 3 important food intervention programs were invented. So first is PDS system, which is again, it was existence earlier also and it is there today as well. Then we talk about integrated child development services, which happened in 1975. Then we had food for work in 1777 and 78, and 2002 special schemes are also launched. These were Antodaya Aniyojana, excessive food stock. Okay, so only Antodaya Aniyojana and Annapurna scheme with special target groups. Like again, this was made so that everyone in India gets sufficient food, whether they are poor, poorest of the poor, or elders, or people who do not have families, so that they cannot go hungry to bed, ensured by the government of India. Excessive food stock. Now somewhere what happened, because of this buffer system and because the levels of people standard of living rose, excessive stocks were there by the government in the granaries, and this made sure, and this because they had excessive stock, it was getting rotten, or it was getting deteriorated, which means it was getting pests is happening there, and rats are coming. So it basically, the quality was decreasing. So this is the reason whereby excessive food stock is also not good for the people. It is seen that in July 2002, the stock of wheat and rice with FCI was 63 million tons, which is a lot to serve, right? Which was much more than the minimum buffer stock. That is, minimum is 24.3 million tons. It should be there. That is the buffer stock. But it is 63 million, which is again a lot. So the stock reduced thereafter, but always remained higher than the buffer norms, because now India was having a this level of self-sufficiency. But this excessive stock is also not good, because again rats, and we do not have a lot of space to keep the stocks, right? So this is ample amount of food. Paradox of excessive stocks and starvation. Again, why we should not have excessive food, and why it should not be there. In fact, if India has experienced a paradoxical situation. Paradoxical situation means again a very different situation. Okay, while the granaries godowns, granaries means godowns of the government are overflowing with the excessive. They are overflowing with the excess of the stocks of food. We also find people without food. Now, there are two paradoxical situations. On one hand, we still find, unlimited food there with the government in the buffer stock. And on the other hand, we still find they're beggars and they're starving for food. Why is this need of the situation whereby maybe the middlemen, maybe whatever the government is doing is actually not reaching to the people? This may be the problem, right? And also, when we talk about starvation, by which we means that government is completing their duty. It is maybe the middlemen who are charging a lot from the people. So it should be either free of cost or at low cost. So maybe the ration shop owners, maybe corruption is happening, they're charging money from the people. That is why it is not reaching to the people. So the main reason is this unfortunate situation is that many poor families do not have enough money or income to buy food. Or maybe middlemen are charging more money, right? So it can be any situation. So this is again a challenge, paradox as well as a challenge, which has to be overcome. Alright children, with this again we have completed in a one short, very easy summary of the food security of India. Alright, if you have any doubt, you can write in the comment section. Bye bye children. See you next time.